All right, now we're going into our science lesson. I would like for the class to turn to page 204. We want to do some review. Remember, science is not an everyday lesson, and sometimes we forget from one time to the next. So let's just give a little review about what sound is and how sound moves. Okay? Now remember, we have a pair of ears that is on either side of our head. And who gave us our wonderful ears? Well, of course, we all know that it was God. He gave us our eyes to see, and that's why when the lights are on, we could see our beautiful world. And also when we hear beautiful sounds, that is because we have ears. I'm going to read some Bible verses to you that you probably have already read yourself. It says, I will praise thee, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are thy works, and that my soul knoweth right well. So here is the psalmist, which most likely is David, who is praising God for how wonderful our bodies are. And you have been studying throughout the science book about our bones and our muscles and how our body is a wonderful machine, better than any machine that was ever made, because it is God. We are God's creation, and God gave us our wonderful bodies so that we can do things, and most of all so we could worship him and adore him, because he is our maker and our father. Now in Proverbs, that was Psalm 139:14. Now in Proverbs 20:12, it says, the hearing ear and the seeing eye. Of course, I have glasses, so I have two sets of eyes. These are what God gave me, and this is what the ophthalmologist gave me. So I have two sets of eyes. The hearing ear and the seeing eye, the Lord hath made even both of them. So now we know what God has given us so that we can hear beautiful music, we could hear sounds, we could hear our mommies saying, I love you, and also we can hear our friends talking to us. That sound is a form of energy that we are able to hear, and the sound is made by something that vibrates. Vibrates means to shake. And you know, when we hear very, very loud sounds, it's annoying to our ears. And how many of you have ever had maybe a large truck, a very heavy cement truck, or even the garbage truck go down your street, and it seems as if your windows shake because of the sound of the truck? Also, when we hear airplanes overhead, sometimes there is a boom, a sonic boom, and our whole house seems to shake. There are people who live right near the airport, either Miami International Airport or the airport that's right down the street on 120th Avenue, Tamiami Airport. And they are very, very upset because their houses are in direct line with the incoming and outgoing flights of the airplanes, because they could hear the sound of these jet planes flying overhead and sometimes shaking their roof so that it almost feels as if the roof is going to come apart. That's how strong sound waves can be. And remember, we can make sounds by doing various things. We can make things vibrate. And if you remember on page 203, or even in your workbook page, which I will review again, your workbook page 195, if you remember what it is, you saw different children using different instruments, ways that they can make sounds. Here is a little girl blowing a horn. Here is another child, and she's got bells that she's shaking. Now we also have the violin and the harp, and that's plucking the strings. Then we have another young man who is hitting, it looks like he's got some kind of a, what do you call this, Miss Pam, what he's playing?
It's a
You can.
xylophone.
Looks like a xylophone, yeah. I wasn't quite sure. So that was Miss Pam. She's taping this for me. Okay, and then of course on the top, there is someone who is pounding and really hitting hard. He is the person who has the anvil and the hammer, and he's hitting some metal over heat, and he's shaping it with the hammer. So he's making a very loud sound. Okay, so that was one lesson that you had to do. And then of course on the back you had to draw some pictures. And the next review that I want to go through is that about how sound waves travel. Sound waves travel all around you. You can't see the sound waves, but you could hear it. Sound waves go from the top to the bottom. That's on page 204. If you have it in your book, you can see where the sound waves go. The young man is beating drums, and you could hear the drum. And the sound waves will go up and down and back and forth to the right and to the left. And also in the front of you and behind you. So sound waves travel in all directions. Okay, now today's lesson is going to be sound and matter. What is matter? Well, because that's what sound travels through, right? Light can't go through everything. We learned that a few weeks ago. But sound can go through doors, it could go through windows, it could go through matter. What is matter? Let's look at page 206, and we can see that matter is everywhere. Look at the children at the playground, and what do we see? We see them playing on a little wheel that turns. We see trees in the background. We see the children sitting and holding hands. We see some kind of a fence. We see trees. This is all matter. For example, matter takes up space. Okay? Your body, as I said, is matter. Even the air you breathe. The only thing is, sometimes we don't see our air. We can see air, for example, on a cold day when our hot breath blows out the air, and we can see also when we take a shower and it's very, very hot, and we could see the mirror on the cabinet shows that there has been some hot air in the room, and you have the little particles of water on the mirror. But anyway, matter takes up space. If I put this bottle of strawberry flavored sparkling water down, it's taking up space. I could see it, I could touch it, I could move it, I could weigh it, and nothing else can take its place unless I move it. Now that space is empty and something else can be put there. I could put this ball there. Okay, this is matter. It takes up space. So we find that because the sound moves through space, it is everywhere. Okay, let's read what it says here. You could read to yourself. Sound travels through matter. Matter is anything that has weight and takes up space. Matter is all around you. Your toys are matter. Your food is matter. Your body is matter. Even the air you breathe is matter. Most of what we hear is sound that moves through the air. Okay, now I want to tell you something that why God has made us so perfectly and so amazingly, that when the sound enters your outer ear, everybody take a look at your ears. These are your outer ears. Some people's ears are bigger than others. Some are longer, some are shorter. But this is the outer ear, and it has little indentations, and the sound travels through the ear, and there is what we call a canal. Now, we think of a canal as a body of water, but this is basically look at my finger, this could be a canal. This could be your ear, and then the canal, this is the outer ear. The sound comes through the canal, and it goes into the eardrum, right in the middle of your ear, outer ear canal. There is a drum. Do you believe that? We have our own musical instrument right inside our ear. And this drum, believe it or not, has 3 small bones, and it's called the middle ear. And what happens is when that sound comes through, it vibrates, it shakes, and those 3 little bones hit the drum. And then it moves into the inner ear, over here someplace, and there is a little liquid, and it's in the cochlea, and this causes that to vibrate. And all of these vibrations are sent as little messages. There's a little nerve there that is a special nerve just for hearing, and that little nerve sends all that sound. Now, it happens you can't even measure how short a time it is, because as soon as someone speaks, that message goes all through the inner eardrum to that nerve, that auditory nerve, hearing nerve, and it goes up to the brain, and you hear. Now, people who cannot hear have some kind of a damage, either to that nerve that finally sends the message to the brain, or something in between. Sometimes we will get terrible earaches when we have bad colds, and there's something, infection in the ear canal, and we have to take ear drops or something to clear it up. And sometimes it's very hard to hear when we have a head cold, because that's all infected and the sound cannot go through. Isn't that wonderful that we have such an instrument in our head, not only our eyes to see, but also for our ears to hear? Okay, now we know that sound is vibrating or moving in the air, makes the sound. Let's go to page 207. And as I mentioned before, the moving air, the air has received the sound, the inside of our ear, and the brain knows what the vibrating inside your ear means. Can you imagine how wonderful your brain is? That your brain can translate what you hear, whether you hear your mommy calling you, come to dinner, or whether we hear your teacher yelling at you, pay attention, or the sound of Mr. Dan playing music. That is vibrates inside, and it's sent, and your brain knows exactly what you heard. You know, we are fearfully and wonderfully made. Okay, now tomorrow we're going to be talking about how sound changes. We're going to be talking about volume and pitch. And I think we might be ready to do the study guide on page 197, because the study guide goes up to reading pages 207. So in it you have 3 words that you have to put in these sentences. Then you have to answer a yes or no, and then you have to bubble in the correct answer. So try, if you're not sure of an answer, just go back to your book. Remember, in the back of your book, you have a glossary. And a glossary is a dictionary, and it gives you the meanings of the words. You just have to look it up in A, B, C order. All right, so tomorrow we will continue with lesson 80 and perhaps 81.